Hello, I'm Kimberly J. Welcome to Secondhand News You Can Use. Joining me are my co-hosts, Henry Ladell. He's our producer for the show, and he's a renowned photographer with Vogue and Vanity Fair credits. We also have Dr. Micaela. She's our creative director and content creator for DTR TV, our streaming platform that you should go download now. All right. Normally, guys, we do our show differently. We normally do our viral buzz, hot topics, consumer news you can use. But tonight, we're going to do something different because the front runner, the big news, that everything that's in the news right now is a hot topic and it is viral. And that is Diddy. All things Diddy. Diddy? Diddy? So we're going to jump into it. And what we're going to do, just so our audience knows, we're going to do a deep dive on the main ones that are in the news that are bringing allegations and suits against Diddy. And we're going to bring you up to speed, and we're going to continue to keep you in the loop on what's going on as things continue to progress with Diddy. We're going to start with Cassie because Cassie's the one, I think, and the world seems to think, that really got this thing started. And let's start with some facts. So in November of 2023, the singer Cassie, and this is all coming from one of the sources is The Cut Online. In November of 2023, the singer Cassie, her name is actually Cassandra Ventura. She filed an explosive federal lawsuit against her former partner, Sean Diddy Combs. She claimed that he had been physically and sexually abusive throughout their relationship. The complaint also alleged that Combs' abuse ranged from beating her and forcing her to have sex with other men to raping her at her home in 2018. And let me add, he had people watching and he did things to himself while she was doing this. The rapper Diddy settled the lawsuit, as we all know, within a day. But since then, at least 5 more people, and it's more than that, have come forward to sue Diddy, accusing him of a wide range of abusive behavior, including sexual harassment, rape, non-consensual pornography, and sex trafficking. And I'm going to insert this one part here. It's not just in the States, it has been international, which helps bring in the Rico charges too. Diddy has denied all of his allegations. He's claiming that his accusers are attempting to assassinate his character, destroy his reputation, and his legacy. This is exactly what he had to say verbatim. Enough is enough. For the last couple of weeks, I have sat silently and watched people try to assassinate my character, destroy my reputation, and my legacy. Sickening allegations have been made against me by individuals looking for a quick payday. Let me be absolutely clear. I did not do any of the awful things being alleged. I will fight for my name, my family, and for the truth. Another important fact that I definitely want to bring up, and I'll be done with this segment, this part, is that Diddy was allegedly groomed and sexually harassed or assaulted by Andrea Harrell, who is the one that brought Diddy in and got him started in the music industry. Did I say his name correctly? Andrea Harrell? Oh, okay. I thought you were going to say, so yeah, Andrea Harrell. Let's also note that Diddy was raised by his mother, and because his father passed away when he was young, he apparently was very traumatized and left very devastated. And this is prior to connecting to the music industry with Andrea Harrell. Why am I bringing that up? I don't know if that's going to be mentioned in his lawsuit, and I don't know if they're going to use his past and the other allegations that have been out there about him being abused as a part of this case. And I do see a pattern with the R. Kelly as well, right? So that is with Cassie. How many more key witnesses do you think are going to surface? Do we think this is going to be another, what is his name? Epstein? Harvey Weinstein? Was it Harvey Weinstein? Is this going to be another one of those cases? Is that where we are? Also, I'm just wondering how many people are going to come out and in terror and fear of their lives and help protect Diddy, to help him. I have one person in mind. When we get into it and start naming the other names, there's one person right now that's still kind of on the fence. I don't know if y'all know who that is, but he's kind of on the fence. He hasn't really said anything, and he's kind of sided with Diddy. I'll say it. It's Usher, right? Okay. It's Usher. He's spoken out, but he hasn't firmed up the accusations. Okay. Do you guys want to give any feedback at this point?
I'd love to give some feedback on this. I think
Absolutely.
when we're talking about, when we're referring to some of the other celebrities, in particular male celebrities that probably have, well, not probably, but that were under the tutelage of P. Diddy or Andre Harrell. I think that we have to understand, like coming from a PR standpoint, the stigma that we put on, men when it comes to homosexual allegations, as well as molestation, rape, any type of action where a man was attacked or abused by another man, whether it was whether you were a child and now you're an adult, there is this stigma put onto them. And so I think that when you're talking about a Justin Bieber who I believe was allegedly abused by P. Diddy, as well as Usher, allegedly abused by P. Diddy, I think that those men first have to think about their careers when they, when you're talking about coming out, not only just coming out against somebody of Diddy's stature, because we have to remember, now he's like this big joke, but he's a very powerful person. He has been for the past 30 years a very powerful person, not to mention owning all these rights to different people's music and just having a lot of say, not only in the music industry, but in Hollywood, and also with, different companies with all the endorsements and things like that he's had. I think that he's a lot more menacing than we know. And then we don't know him as a thug, right? A thug, a gangster, somebody who would go and, allegedly blow up a person's car or send people after them and harass them continuously. But he has been known to do that. It has been alleged that he does that. So I think that these men are not only in fear of how they will be perceived in the media with their career, but also maybe for their well-being. And then we have to also remember, Usher just came out of a scandal, a huge sexual scandal that I'm sure he's happy to put behind him on the onset of his new album and his amazing performance at the Super Bowl.
Super Bowl, yeah. I agree with you. Micaela, did you want to add anything?
Yeah, that's the sick part. I think Cassie was a teenager when she met him. Was she like 17, 19 or something like that? He's in his late 30s. So to me, that just screams predator, for one. And if, and I know sometimes people don't understand, or they'll say, well, why was she with him so long? Well, when he preyed on her, he got her to trust him, to depend on him. And she was afraid. I mean, he's drugging her, he's plying her with alcohol, and she has receipts and she has witnesses. And you think about it, he paid her off immediately. He didn't try to fight at all. That says a lot. It doesn't say, to me, it doesn't say, hey, I want to be done with that. I just want to be done with it. To me, it's like, I'm wrong. I want to put this on the rug, but I don't think he expected all these other people to come on the woodwork. I mean, when you think about it, non-consensual pornography, which means that he was filming their sexual escapades without their permission, not just her, everybody, rape. He raped her. I think what made her break up with him was that he came to her place and he raped her. That was it for her. The last rape was it for her.
Last rape,
sexual harassment, and it's disgusting. And I think, and I know you've heard of Tiffany Red, right?
Yes.
She came out complaining. She came out and she's suing him too. But she is one person who was not afraid to come against Diddy, because she supported her in an open letter when she filed that lawsuit, because she was present at one of her birthday in 2015 at the birthday party when Diddy made her leave her own birthday party to go have sex with other men. So, and I'm glad that she did that.
Calls them F-offs.
Yeah, she said she felt compelled to do that for Cassie because she wanted to confirm everything she said. Because, she was there. She wanted to support her because they're sick in her. I mean, they're powerless to him. He's powerful. He gets people murdered.
He had that. I was going to say that we haven't even mentioned the murder charges as well. But I think what he has done, the consistent pattern that I have seen in all of these cases, not all, most, is that they're young. He gets them when they're young, very young, when they're impressionable, when they're hungry, when they want to be celebrities, when they want that stardom. And I'm not blaming the parents. I don't know all the details behind everybody's parent, but there's somewhere in there was a trust factor, and they hand them over. Here's our child. Yes, go make him famous. Go make her famous. And what he does is he takes advantage of having them in his possession. So then if you want these things, or if you want to continue to have this lifestyle, you're going to do what I say do. You're going to go where I say go. You're going to do the things that I expect of you. But I think he uses fear and intimidation as tactics.
Of course.
And regarding the homosexuality piece, in my opinion, I think Diddy does what Diddy does because he knows it's a control for him. I don't think he does it because he really cares about any of these people. I think it's because he wants control. So he does it to unwilling participants, whether they are heterosexual or homosexual. He goes after them. He goes after women, whether they want to be with him or not. He pursues them, and he does things, and he woos them. But we can't forget that part. He makes promises, and these people get caught up, and then they can't get out, or they get trapped at his parties, and we can get into that. I've heard about his parties.
I want to say one more thing.
Yes.
If to not understand the amount of power that he has, I will tell you this. Or if you see some celebrity and you go, oh, they're whatever, it's all hype. Being a person who has shot Fashion Week, who has been at different types of award shows and private events with these celebrities, imagine if you're like me being a cameraman, you're standing somewhere and there's like a couple of hundred people, a couple of thousand people outside waiting, camera people, designers, videographers, photographers, editors of magazines, and also patrons who are coming to a show or to like Fashion Week, where it looks like all this glam, but it's a lot of commerce taking place,
right?
A lot of capitalism is taking place. When you see that person get out of a car and come into the room, and the whole room goes crazy. All of a sudden, flashing lights and security, you realize that how powerful that person is. Like, whether or not you respect it or not, there is power there. And then when you see them speaking to, the editor of Vogue or this Duchess of York, and this person like kissing and the double kiss, you're like, wow, he knows all of these people. They're coming to his house. They're calling him. He's a very powerful person. Let's be real. Up until now, he was quite powerful. And so that's what that average Joe person is seeing. All that they're seeing, the yachts, they're seeing security. When you're in his under his tutelage in his home, there's all these security men. There's these big, giant 6'4", 6'5", 300-pound men that are around. There is a power dynamic there. It is not definitely like being with a regular person.
Right. I agree. I agree.
Who else filed a lawsuit, Henry?
Bryshere.
Oh yeah, you didn't get to speak on Bryshere. Great.
His is real brief. Bryshere's is brief. He's suing Diddy for $50 million. And if you don't know who Bryshere Gray is, let me tell you. Most people do. Bryshere Gray is the actor and rapper. He's best known for the role he played on Empire. He was Hakeem Lion. He was one of the Lion's sons, Cookie and Terrence Howard, right? So he filed a lawsuit against not only Diddy, but Will Smith too. Enters now Will Smith into the picture. And there are more celebrity names along with other people's allegations, but we're going to stay for this particular lawsuit. He only named Will Smith. He did mention Jada as well, but the people he went after are Will Smith and Sean Diddy Combs. And according to the lawsuit, he claims that Smith and Diddy conspired to sabotage his career as well as his reputation, and that they owe him $50 million in damages. I do not know how he arrived at the number. The lawsuit, which was filed in Los Angeles Superior Court in January, alleges that Smith and Diddy were jealous of Gray's success and talent, and that they used their influence and connections to spread false rumors about him, blacklist him from projects, and interfere with his contracts. The lawsuit also accused Smith and Diddy of orchestrating Gray's arrest in 2020. He was charged with domestic violence. He did do some jail time for it. I think it was like 20 days. And this was for allegedly choking his wife and refusing to cooperate with the police. So does he have a clean pass? He doesn't. But does that mean he should have been treated the way that he did allegedly? No, it doesn't.
So what do you think the deal is? You think that that he wouldn't sleep with either of them, and that's why he would play their
Allegedly,
games,
he's
so
one
they
of the
tried to blackball him?
Yes, I do. I believe that. I truly do, because he was at the peak of it. He was just starting. I mean, we knew who he was. His music was very good. I remember it. It was great. He was making a name for himself. Now, I don't know about jealousy, but I know if he did not kowtow to the things that they wanted him to, then there's retribution. And I think my opinion is that that's what happened. So he's allegedly one of the people, and you've heard about Diddy's parties, and people get caught in his parties. And Denzel Washington had told another celebrity, I'm trying to remember who it was. I can't remember. He told him, make sure you leave before the devil shows up. Leave before the devil shows up, is what he said. And I believe
Who was the
they were
devil?
referring Diddy.
Diddy.
They were referring to Diddy. So even
Well,
Denzel is actually starting to come out and speak out more about things that he has witnessed and seen. So Bryshere allegedly turned down any advances, did not want to do the things that were asked of him, but did get caught up into something. And I guess that's what they had over him, allegedly.
Well, and you know
And
what
he's young.
I think too, metaphorically speaking, is, what Denzel was probably one of the things I think he was probably the meaning of that was also metaphorically meaning that, when you're a part of the business, you have to go and show face. You have to go and promote things. You have to be at certain parties. You have to be in certain rooms where deals are made over dinners and golf and, lunches and things like that. But whenever, when somebody when it becomes sexual, when it becomes this or that, you need to go. And
Right.
I think that at the end of the day, if you don't have the luxury of having somebody who is mentoring you and around you when you're in that business, who is a wholesome person, a good person with your best intentions in mind, which most people don't, a lot of people don't, I think then you are put in a vulnerable situation, because for one, how do you know who is what power one person has? All you know is that they know everybody. They're friends with them. They're calling them. They're hugging them. They're kissing. They're in this photo. I remember I've seen him in New York at different events, and I'm going to tell you, he was a star in the rising. He was. They were grooming him to be a star, and when he got out of the car, people would go crazy. They wanted to do photos and autographs and stuff like that. He was a star, and he was so charming. He had a glow in his eyes. I remember seeing him. He just had an energy. You're like, wow, he has had this wholesome, good energy about him, and you knew he was going to be a star. I think that, going back to what you said, Kim, to your point, I believe that, once you get a certain amount of money and fame and power, you need new ways to thrill yourself. And how do you do it? How do you thrill yourself? Well, you don't just want to be with somebody, because if we're talking about Diddy or other celebrities who are closeted and who are known, to sleep with men in the industry or bisexual, whatever, these men they could have anybody that they want. They can have their pick of the litter. And I think at some point, they want to be able to dominate over people and have power over people, and not just everybody, not just like the average Joe. They want somebody who they can groom and have the power to make them a star or not. And then after they've done what they've done with them, they're like, oh, he's a big star, but look, I had him then. That they get off to that,
and they save their footage. Go ahead, Micaela.
No, I just said this is disgusting. It's a disgusting truth.
It is.
It really is.
And I think we're just truly getting the tip of the iceberg. Henry Ladell, you have some. I do. I think I do believe it's going to be a lot of people are now feeling more empowered to come forward and safer. They don't feel their lives are. There are other people, like we have enough to talk about this probably at least for another hour. We won't, y'all, but there's so many people coming forward. Henry Ladell, who do you have? What are you going to bring us up on?
Okay, so I'm gonna, this is in accordance to the Los Angeles Times, which is a really good, reputable, one of the reputable rags on celebrity. And the person I'm gonna focus on two people, but the first one I'm gonna focus on is Lil Rod. That name makes me laugh. Lil Rod. When you think about a rapper or or a
Oh my
producer.
God.
Lil Rod doesn't, I don't know. It makes me
Just,
giggle.
I know, right?
But yeah, Diddy's love producer, Lil Rod, accuses him of and his associates of sexual assault and illicit behavior. So Lil Rod is a very well-known producer who has produced several albums and has been quite successful in the business. And he's alleging that, you know, as a producer of the Love album during the time when they were putting everything together, that Diddy kept him, you know, while he was working, he had to do more than just produce music. He had to, you know, and of course this is alleged, but this is what's in the lawsuit, what's in the report. He alleges that Diddy not only fondled him, groped him in places that I won't even mention here, but he really introduced him into sexual acts and displays of sexuality that he was not ready for. He claims that he is a Christian, has a strong Christian faith and background, and he was, you know, he spent several months on a yacht with Diddy from Diddy's property in Miami to New York, and also in the Bahamas, where he alleges that he not only was groomed over a period of time to participate in these sexual acts, which he claims to have not done, but he also has several. He has like 100 hours of footage, because on top of Diddy's need to dominate and control, he loves to film. And if you ever listen to any person who's a narcissistic or sexual deviant, they love filming things. They love because they like to go back and watch and use it as you know, as leverage against you. And so he's alleging that, and he's asking for $30 million. $30 million. You know, and he's also alleged that he hadn't been paid what he was you know, what was agreed to for this album. I don't think the album didn't do well, you know, amongst the allegations that rolled out, right? So I think that you know, all of these allegations that are coming out, it's not hearsay. These people have they have receipts. Now I will say this. Lil Rod has there was a video where P. Diddy alleged that another celebrity was engaged in a sexual act with him and somebody else, but it turned out to be a famous porn star. Yeah, who looked a lot like this celebrity. Okay.
Right. Okay.
And so they showed it, and so they're saying that he's telling truth, but he's also mixing in some, you know, he's using some
embellishing.
He's embellishing. He's you know, hyperbole. But I think that at the end of the day, with all these allegations that we are seeing unfold, I mean, look, everybody know. We all know that those rumors have been flowing around for years.
For years.
It's funny.
Decades.
It's funny. Decades. It's funny. But you know, now that these people are coming forward, you know why I believe they're coming forward? I think they're coming forward because at this point, you've held all of my the rights to my music. You're not giving me points. You're not paying me. I'm not getting any younger. I'm going to come out and say this. I don't care if you ruin my career. My career has already been ruined.
Right. And you know, Henry, I read that he had he was constantly groping his anus, trying to grope his anus. That is disgusting.
That is intense.
Yeah,
it is very intense.
And you know, I can, for women, I know sometimes, you know, people will say, I don't understand why a woman put up with that. This is a man now. You know, with Cassie, she was a young girl and she was very impressionable. So he had control over her. This is a man, Lil Rod. I would have beat his ass if he tried to touch my anus. But I mean, but he lived with him too for almost a year, didn't he? In his place. Almost a year. But he said during the whole time, during that year, he was like, there's a lot of he was trying to like assault his anus.
Well, he lived with him for several months, and you have to remember this. Bodyguards. Like there is a physical force around. P. Diddy doesn't go anywhere without his bodyguard. I mean, he always has.
Takes his muscle everywhere.
everywhere, and he has to, being who he is. So you have that dynamic there. And then secondly, you're working on this album, the Love album. Before the allegations came out, that album was going to be huge. All the collaborations and all the things, all the, I think people forget that in this industry, in the music industry, and also in show business, the actual opportunities can be far in between, depending on who you are. You know what I'm saying? It may not be this lucrative thing for you. And for him, I believe that, Diddy only deals with people who he can get away. He does that pimp game. He wants you to call him daddy. There are straight men calling this man daddy.
Right.
Not Diddy, daddy.
Well, daddy. And then he asked 50 Cent. 50 Cent was like, he asked me, like, you want me to take you out and buy you some things? No, he's a dude. Like, he's not going to want you to court him, to buy him or woo him. And 50's got his own. But I think he also has, allegedly, this is out there too, he has a body count. So the fear that he invokes on these people have seen behind the scenes what he has done. And I think Lil Rod, he should have just said lightning rod or something. I can't with Lil Rod, but anyway, Lil Rod, right? I think he's gonna be. I think Cassie opened the door, but I think Lil Rod's allegations and all of his proof, his arsenal, is what's gonna blow this out of the water. I think that's what's gonna actually put some cuffs on Diddy, because I know another story, just to dovetail real quick. A young lady came on social media, not even allegedly, they did go to court, but she was shot in the face by Diddy years ago. She told everybody, she went to the press, she said he paid everybody off, judges, police officers. She said her case did go to trial. She got $1 million, but for 21 years, she said, I sat and waited for this moment to see him get what's coming to him. So I believe more people are going to continue to surface. Now, what else do you have, Henry? Because this is good. I'm sorry. This is good.
Well, we got Joy Dickerson Neal. She was the third person to file a lawsuit, and she went right after Liz Gardner. Both they both filed November 23rd. Now, I'm grateful, and I wish we had that here in Texas for the New York's Adult Survivor Act, because it allowed any victim to sue their sexual predators for a limited amount of time. But this Joy, she said she reluctantly went on a date with him in 1991, and that he plied her with alcohol and drugs, and he recorded it and he showed it to other people. And she did report him to unspecified agencies in New Jersey and in New York, but they needed someone to corroborate. And the people that were witnesses were too afraid to do so. Right. So, nothing happened. But now, because of this act, the Survivor Act, she gets to have her day in court, hopefully.
Right.
She does. But I wonder, do you know if he was hanging out with Harvey on his island too?
Oh, they were. I'm going to tell you
I believe it's all connected.
Because I think there's a theme here. These people, when they get this power in the music industry and the film industry, they are just set on sexually abusing people. It's like it's a thing. It's disgusting.
Well, some of it's a ritual. They're talking about that in different allegations. Some of the allegations they're saying it's a ritual. This is the easiest way I can wrap and I hate to use this analogy, but I think it's almost like they pledge them in. It's almost like they take them through this process that if you want this, there's some things you're going to have to do to get this. So they do use the words ritualistic in several different cases that I've heard. Now, usually it's sex that's involved and some other things, but I have heard that word used. Henry, you were going to say something to dovetail off of Micaela?
Yeah, I want to put emphasis on the fact that, Wendy Williams in the 90s was one of the most successful radio personalities next to Howard Stern, right, in the business. She was one of the most successful radio personalities, and she was syndicated in several markets, and she brought in hundreds of thousands of dollars a month, from her syndication and all the deals that she had as a radio personality. This is not in TV, just in radio. She said something against P. Diddy okay, that he let her know that if you did this or if you did that, this was going to happen. She did it again on the radio. He had her fired and removed out of the station. They kicked her out on the streets like she was nothing. This is one of the most successful. Okay, they literally came to the station, like producers, big deal people came to that studio and got her out of there, and she had to go to a whole nother city and get a job. That's the kind of power he has. So when you're asking about why these people are doing this or if they're afraid to do this, if they do that to Wendy Williams, look at these people who who are they? I don't really know.
Right.
And they're trying to start their career up. That's the kind of power he had, because he literally, I mean, you have to remember, P. Diddy was the head of, Bad Boy Records.
Bad Boy Entertainment.
Entertainment, and he had all these endorsement deals, and he was friends with this person and that person. He had a lot of power. He could go and call one of his people in the industry and say, hey, I heard you're working with this person, not a really good person. If you shouldn't work with this person. And then if they didn't listen to him, he would go, well, none of my artists are going to come to any of your stuff and not going to interview with you. He had a lot of artists, like go down the list of the artists that were on the roster. They're all the big superstars, especially in that community. So he has a lot of power. So he could ounce your career.
Yeah, I think I said this before. I never, when he had that show, Making the Band, when I saw him make those people walk to get him a slice of cheesecake at night, for I don't know how many miles it was, I was so disgusted with him. You should foster these people. You are in a position to do so many great things for people, but you want to treat them like fucking slaves. That said everything to me about his characters, that he thought he was so much bigger than people that he would treat them like they were nothing. And I don't know if any of those people that were on Making the Band have solid musical careers at all. I think he was just full of fluff. It was all about him and his pretense.
He's truly narcissistic to me.
I think he
is truly a narcissist. All right, who else do we have? Who else is on?
Let's see. We got there was another one. Henry Liz Gardner.
Yeah. On the Liz Gardner case, she has brought charges against Diddy. Liz Gardner's lawsuit against Sean Diddy Combs and Aaron Hall, actually. Liz Gardner is the third individual to file a sexual assault lawsuit against music mogul Sean Diddy Combs just before the expiration of the Adult Survivors Act on November 23rd. Her legal action brings to light events from back in the 90s. I mean, this dude has been doing this since the 90s. That's over 30 years. It follows similar allegations from Cassandra Cassie Ventura and Joy Dickerson Neal. So, giving a little bit of background, according to the NBC News, Miss Gardner has come forward with allegations stemming from a night in the early 90s. She details attending an MCA Records event with a friend, eventually leading to a traumatic series of events at the singer-songwriter's Aaron Hall's apartment. So, the Liz Gardner allegations, Mrs. Gardner claims that Diddy and Hall invited her and her friend to an after party where they were pressured into sex with Diddy. She alleges that she was subsequently assaulted by Mr. Hall and a traumatic incident, leaving her shocked and traumatized. So essentially, what happened while at Hall's apartment, Liz Gardner was offered more drinks and was coerced into having sex with Sean Combs. After Combs finished, he drugged her. Okay, he forced her to have. Well, he put pressure on her to have more shots. But these shots were allegedly laced with like ecstasy and other drugs that that would subdue someone if they drank them. So Diddy was alleged to have had raped her, and then after he raped her, Aaron Hall comes in and rapes her. So she was literally raped by both of these men back to back, and he pinned her down in the room and forced Liz Gardner to have sex with him. So this happened, and then of course he even went to the friend's house. The lawsuit's third allegations. It was alleged that he went looking for the friend, but couldn't get her because he was like, oh, she's gonna tell.
Right.
I mean, these guys, this was in the 90s.
He was doing stuff back then.
And
That's
he
when the
filmed
girl
it, and
got
he
shot in
filmed
the
it, by the
face.
way.
Of course. Of course. He loves his own work. That's crazy. He loves his own work.
It's sick.
It's sick.
It's the
We take a page
and
from the Bill
it's like,
Cosby book.
And, you know, it's a lot of books. Billy, we got Weinstein. There's so many. I feel like this is going to be a huge turning point for Hollywood. This case, the Weinstein case, there's so many other cases. There are a lot of people that are getting allegations thrown at them now as a result of the Cassie case and all the other ones in the past. These people are now coming forward and they're not afraid anymore. Thank God they're not afraid. But more people are coming forward with other celebrities because I think they are starting to see, you know what, I can say something. I think it's a bigger problem than I think we're just scratching.
What I want to know is, do you think, like, let's be realistic. If you look at somebody like Justin Bieber, if you really look at him and his life and his career, you know, he's still a very young man. Yeah. You know, people talked about how he was like, he's getting in trouble, he's doing this. Look, he hadn't really gotten in that much trouble. I mean, look at it. How he really hadn't done anything. Like he was acting like a regular kid. But if you look into this man's eyes, he looks like there's something missing from his eyes. And to have such success and what he's wanted, I believe something happened to him when he was a child, and it had to do with the industry. Industry. Same thing as Usher, because we're talking about a 12, 13-year-old boy. A 13-year-old boy
went to live with him
to see the life and was given guardianship.
Yeah, lived with him.
And you know what? All I can say is I assure you I'm sure things were put into place for things to happen so Diddy could watch and get off. That's all I'm saying.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, you know, there's another child.
Allegedly.
She's and she's listed as Jane Doe. And then she was 17 years old when this happened. And she said that Diddy, Harvey Pierre, who's his lieutenant, he's the president of Bad Boy Entertainment, and another one of his assistants gang raped her in his Manhattan studio. And another thing about this Harvey Pierre, he was also sued by an assistant who claimed that he sexually exploited and assaulted her in between 2016 and 2017. But she said that, so she was in there and they drugged and raped her. And she said that she was also trafficked between Detroit and New York City to have sex with men. They used her as a sex slave. She was trafficked by them. They put her on a private jet. They plied her with drugs and alcohol. And she said they got it to a point where she couldn't consent. So she couldn't consent to the sex. So then they violently assaulted her. And she said that pictures were taken of her. Also, she said she begged them to stop. They didn't stop, but they, of course, that they took pictures of her. And there are pictures of her sitting in Diddy's lap in the studio the day that she was raped by him. It's just, she's a child, and he has children. I don't know if he had kids at the time. What gets me. How would he like it if somebody did that to his girls? He doesn't give a fuck. And and all this stuff, and look at what he's lost. He lost his school. He has a capital prep school in Harlem, and he lost that.
The show he was going to do.
He had a show that was coming out, Diddy and Seven, Diddy plus Seven, that was canceled, and now he had to step down from Revolt Media.
And then not to mention that man, he probably had about 10 endorsement deals.
Lost.
Yeah, he fucked
that was his money. That was how he made money, because he's not like he has, of course, he owns everybody's royalty. He has the rights to everybody's music, but also the endorsement deals. And it was last year he gave a lot of those the royalties back to these artists, because I think that was a bribe. Say, hey, he knew these lawsuits were coming out, and he probably thought, well, these are other people who know and who corroborate some of this stuff. I better give them their stuff, because this will, I will gain their favor if I give them their royalties to their music, because he owned a lot of people's rights to their music.
Well, like Tiffany Red, like we just talked about, she claims today, she did all this music and she has not received money for it. How can you let people create for you and you not pay them? It reminds me, or maybe we could talk about this another time. It reminds me of the whole Motown shit of Berry Gordy, who should be ashamed of himself. I mean, just, how do they? I just don't understand. There's so much for everybody in this world. How can you just use people like that and benefit from profit?
Greed and power.
Mm-hmm.
It's horrible. And he drank some terrible Kool-Aid because he seems to think he's invincible. I do believe more people are going to come forward. I do believe we're going to find out more, definitely going to find out more things. I don't know what it's going to take though. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. When do they go and arrest him? Like, at what point does he get arrested? I'm looking at all these allegations. I don't know if they're waiting. If maybe, I know there's a lot of other movement and activity going on around the Rico charges. But when? Like, when?
And please put him in jail.
If this was a regular black man on the street, he'd have been arrested by now. Anybody.
I know. And please put him in prison with Suge Knight. The same.
Yeah, because Suge, honey, that is not his friend. Because Suge definitely put his stamp on Cat Williams. And I love it. I love it.
Well, I'm going to tell you this too. Like, there's a couple of other women that, Diddy had while he was with Cassie and also with his deceased wife, that he, allegedly got pregnant and had forced to have several abortions. And because I've seen some of these interviews with this young lady who's this Asian young lady, very beautiful.
Yes. I follow her on Instagram. She's beautiful.
Oh, you follow her on Instagram? She actually alleges that not only while he was with Cassie and his other wife, that he was that he once, all the things that he did to her, but he abused her, severely abused her, and once caused her to miscarry the baby because he stomped her. He stomped the baby out.
Terribly, yes.
Yeah, that's allegedly.
Allegedly. So with all these allegations, and you got bodyguards, you got former friends, former managers, I have the same question that I had when we were going through this with the whole thing with R. Kelly. All these people are coming forward now. I hold them just as responsible. Unless he was coercing them, unless he was blackmailing them too, all these people that are speaking out now that sat by and watched, because you got to know, the person who came forward, I can't remember who it was, that said he was hanging somebody upside down over the banister. It was a young man, somebody that he saw Cassie making music with, and he got jealous. All these people, he's got a body count that's crazy. All these people that have been around him that were on the label with Andre Harrell, they're all gone. They're dead. Heavy D, Andre Harrell, I'll be sure almost died. We're talking the allegations of not Suge Knight. What was the other guy back in the day? You guys know. I hear his music in my head.
Oh, I think
the guy he allegedly.
Big Pun.
And Lil Kim went and she did time.
Oh,
Shine
Biggie
did
Smalls.
time. Biggie Smalls. That's it.
Oh my God, yeah.
There's a lot of people that have been around him that are not here anymore. And I want to also make note of the money piece. When these people are signed onto these record labels, they're also insured. And the people who insure them are the label. And so when they get their rights to their music, they've gotten all of these things from these people, and then they also get paid at their death. So the music continues to play on. Right? They continue to make money while these people are no longer here. I just want to point that out.
Yeah, I think he's taking a page out of Bill Cosby's book for one. And two, I think, like I said before, I've said this before, we're only scratching the surface. And I'm glad this is happening because I think it's just going to tear the entire music and the film industry down. These people, they're out of control. They're out of control. And he's just, and I read something too where his attorney came out and said that two of the ladies were not underage. Well, does that make it any better that they were not underage?
I was like, okay, when you say no, it's no. I don't care how old you are.
Yeah. And I mean, and like you said, and like Henry said, he has enough money. They have enough power. you don't have to drug people to screw them. He can have his pick of any woman or any man that he wants to. He doesn't have to do that. He doesn't have to have somebody living in his house and trying to play with his butthole and stuff. You don't have to do that. You know?
Right.
You're right, Kim, and I cannot wait for him to get arrested.
Like,
arrest his nasty ass.
Because I'm like, at some point, like, okay, so even the allegations of his relationship, which, by the way, let me just mention a few people in all of these allegations. I just got to put this out there, that are also, their names are coming up from these other cases. We have heard Jay-Z and Beyonce, Meek Mills, Lord knows that's all over right now, Chris Brown, Cuba Gooding Jr., Usher.
Don't forget
That's all I can think of.
Are they victims, or are they part of the bullshit?
TD Jakes.
Oh, so they're all part of the bullshit.
So apparently they're not, they're part of the team that either does things to them or stands by and watches. So, you know, it's like a party for him. This literally is what he does. And I think that's also, just like you said, more metaphorically speaking, or when the devil, they leave before the devil gets there. I think there's
who was doing the swallowing and who was doing the swallowing up?
That's all of that.
Who's getting swallowed?
Well, we need to know. If we're going to ask the questions, we need to know all the details, okay?
Yeah.
I need to know. And while we're at it, I just want to know who enjoyed it while they were in there, because you're not going to tell some of these people, I know that's dirty, but I think some of these people got turned out. I think some of these people probably weren't looking to do all of these things. And I think he changed the trajectory of so many people's lives, and not in a good way, in a bad way, but he also probably opened up doors and Pandora's boxes. There's some stuff people probably didn't want to engage in, but maybe they did. And now, I don't know, like, it had to affect.
Remember this, he's drugging them too. If you give somebody enough ecstasy,
yes,
you can't even move.
Right. And part of Cassie's thing is that her memory is bad because of all of the drugs that he gave her. So part of her case was that. I don't know. It's just egregious. I don't understand how a human being can sleep at night. Well, I will tell you, I did see a picture of Diddy. Boy, if he don't look the shot, his hair is gray. I didn't even know he had gray hair. He had gray hair, wasn't shaved. He had a beard. I was like, it's catching up. Them demons are coming out, honey.
You know what, Kim, I was thinking about, do you remember when Cassie shaved her head?
Yeah.
I bet he made her do that.
Oh, he did. He did. He made her do that.
It was
he saw a Caucasian woman at a club who had her head shaved like that. And the next day he made one of his bodyguards or somebody told that story. I just am waiting to see something happen. And I'm not gonna lie. I hate to see things happen to our brothers. I'm gonna be straight. I hate to see things happen to our brothers. I hated to see what happened to Bill Cosby happen to Bill Cosby. Bill's the one that did what he did. The only difference, I think, is that was Bill. Bill did what he did back then. I think he was doing what a lot of Caucasian executives were doing, the same thing, drugging women, taking advantage. I think because he was in the process of trying to purchase something, that they intentionally brought him down. They knew what he was doing years ago. They knew all of what he was doing. And so I think part of that was to bring Bill down. And put him in his place.
Just like blocking Byron Allen. And, the same thing. They don't want us to legitimately have anything that on a grand scale.
Or even Tyler Perry. I mean, Tyler Perry wanted to purchase the BET and
him and Byron. Neither one of them. They wouldn't let him get it. You're right.
And then they put it back up on the market after they said that they weren't,
I know. That was called Don't Let the Black Man Get It.
Well, look what's happening politically. They're trying to keep us in our place right now. Women don't have reproductive rights. Black people, I wouldn't be surprised to put slavery back on the docket.
They're trying.
I'm sure all they do is to keep us down.
They're trying. Yeah. So do we have anybody else?
I think for now, that's it for me.
Well, that's it for me too. Henry Ladell?
Well, as you know, I just want to point out that, more allegations are out now, already out. Not only did P. Diddy, not only has he been, brought up on, accused of some allegations, but now he also has brought his son into this
I
whole
know.
thing.
I was going to
Justin.
ask about that because I think I heard. What about his son? Because I heard that his son was involved in somehow. What do y'all know about that?
In an alleged sexual assault.
Correct. He was part of that. And on some level, if his kids are around, think about this. Usher sang. I watched him in the interview. They said, "Would you let your kids go stay with him for summer?" And he said, "Absolutely not." That's the only adamant thing Usher said. He said,
he said
"You wouldn't
no,
let
actually.
your kids go stay with Diddy?" He said, "Absolutely not." Thank you for saying that, though, Usher. I'm glad to see
that says
that
a
you
lot.
wouldn't repeat the cycle because he knows. He knows. So, all right. Well, yeah. Well, I think you guys, we're going to probably have to do another part 2. This is not going to be another Risa Tisa, so don't anybody who knows about that. That's not what this is. But we are going to probably have to do another follow-up because there's still more to come, and we are here to keep you in the loop. So this concludes our show for today. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Remember to hit the subscribe button and don't forget to like and drop a comment below. Also follow us on social media. Our producer, Henry Ladell, will give you the links below. Thank you so much. And until next time, bye.
Bye.